All right, Dr. McKinnon, we're about to launch into the debate section of our CSS Reads. So just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your book and why it's the most important and meaningful for grade 9s here.
Well, I'm very sorry that I'm going to miss out tomorrow because I'm looking forward to being part of this. So this won't be quite the same, but hopefully I'll have an opportunity next week as you continue it on to see what's going on. This is a very exciting initiative, and I'd be interested in the books that teachers come up with, but also the students. The one that I have selected is called The Power of Why with Amanda Lang. Now, she is the senior business correspondent with CBC, and probably students and teachers would have been exposed to her as a part of the Lang and O'Leary report on CBC on business. So it's an interesting title, The Power of Why, because what she is focusing on is the whole idea of developing the interrogative mind. And she makes reference to studies that she's done in the business world. She's very interested in businesses and in corporations and how they operate. And she was intrigued by the fact that the level of productivity of Canadians is lower than other countries. And she went to look at to see which companies were very successful, which ones were more productive, and she found the ones that were innovative and creative, and those that created what she described as a culture of inquiry were the ones that proved to be the most successful. So you probably wonder, what does this have to do with education? Well, in this book, she makes reference to the education system, and she describes kindergarten children as having a natural curiosity. And then she's talking about what schools are doing, and talking schools in general, about taking the creativity and curiosity out of students by having a heavy reliance on content. She talks about giving worksheets and mindless kinds of learning activities, and saying that we are failing our students by not challenging them to think and to develop the interrogative mind. And that goes back to the title of her book, The Power of Why. And in reading this book, I felt I would like to get her to come to the Calgary Science School to see what happens here, because it's much different than what she was describing as typical in school systems. And I'd like her to see how students here and teachers together explore big questions, and how they make connections to the real world, and how learning has that focus on inquiry and thinking as a researcher, thinking in terms of having an inquiry-based approach to learning. It is quite different. So I think if she came here and saw what was happening, the title of the book would be The Calgary Science School, The Power of Why. And I'd like her to see some examples, and I think of one that I just saw yesterday, Arjun Nair, a student that was in this school, 16-year-old student who won the National Biotechnology Award for the work that he's doing on cancer research. And he described what it was like being a student in the Calgary Science School. And he made reference to his involvement in science fair, and he also talked about debating and just how learning takes place in this school. And he was described as being world-class in his thinking on cancer treatment. And this is a 16-year-old student. So the message that I see for the students in this school is to really appreciate what they have been able to develop here, the skills they developed, the disposition of inquiry, and to take that as they continue on in their learning to make a difference in this world. And there are many examples. The other thing I'd like her to see would be what the grade 9s were doing with the sustainability debate.